The only way to learn is to f it up so badly, so many times. I know people that want everything to be perfect, and I found tiny victories in my early work. Maybe it didn't look perfect, but it looked better than the last time I did it. Hi, my name is Johnny Marlowe. I'm a fashion and celebrity photographer in Los Angeles. I guess I started, well, there's kind of two answers to that. I kind of started when I was a little kid. My dad is a photographer, and I grew up in his studio, and I was always just watching him light, and he would kind of try to get me into it, but it wasn't really my thing. So I moved out to LA to be an actor. Oof. And I needed a job. So I decided to start taking headshots of my actor friends in a garage in Glendale. I couldn't afford any photography equipment. The camera was a gift. And so my first piece of lighting equipment was a boogie board that was in the garage. I used it to bounce the light back onto people's faces. And it was really, really hilarious looking. During that time, I was always still taking portraits of my friends on film. My dad gave me his Hasselblad 500 cm. I kind of stumbled my way through learning film photography, kind of not knowing the millimeters, not knowing anything, just loading the backs. And I would take my film to the Icon, because I can't remember, I think I researched it or I Googled it, and I was always really intimidated to go in there because they would always ask me questions like, how do you want it processed? And I was like, I don't know. So I would just get scans, and I wouldn't do contact sheets yet. So I would just kind of get back my black and white photography and try to stumble my way through making it look good. It really looked terrible at first. But there was something to it. Like, I really loved that quality. The turning point in my career is always kind of hard to pinpoint, just because you work for so long and you think so many things are going to do it. They're all just building blocks. But I guess I was shooting a lot of just portraits and a lot of headshots and a lot of stuff, and I wasn't very inspired by any of it. I got an email and I was asked to shoot Lily Collins, and it was for an online magazine that had a cool vibe, and I was like, how am I going to do this? I didn't want to shoot it the way I've been shooting everything, just on a Canon and just digital, and then, retouching it and just having it look the same, and it wasn't very inspiring to me. So I decided that even though I'd never done it before, I was going to shoot the whole thing on film, and just, if it didn't come out, then whatever. This was the turning point shoot with Lily Collins at the Sofitel Hotel in West Hollywood. And I remember seeing the looks and not really getting it and being confused, but I would take these little 650 hot lights and bounce them around, so all over the room, just kind of playing with what we had there. Now that I'm looking at it, it's just so insane that we just had a pile of chairs, and we just kind of had Lily kind of get up on. Because the fashion is so loud and out there, it really kind of almost makes it a little still lifey. I borrowed my friend's camera to shoot this, and there are still portraits of her on the roll that I shot. I was shooting the Yashica T3. I put my Profoto lights that I had one Profoto light, but I put it on slave. So the on-camera flash from the Yashica was triggering the B1 over here to create this crazy shadow on the floor. So I was just praying that those two flashes were balanced, and they were, thank God. When you C-print a 35 millimeter off of one of those cameras, they look so fantastic that they could have been taken on medium format, in my opinion. So people don't know that you're taking this really high quality picture because the camera's so unassuming, so they let their guard down a little bit more, and I feel like that happened here. That was a moment where I had to really get creative in the moment and really kind of focus on the fashion being as much of a character in the photo shoot as the actress. The combination between talent and fashion really spoke to me on that shoot. We wrapped and I dropped all the film off at the Icon. It was the first time that I'd actually asked not for scans of my negatives, but of proof sheets, which was a huge slap moment where when I got the proof sheets back, I was like, oh, like that's what it's supposed to look like. Because I'd been scanning negatives. When I got the proofs back, then you get the personality of the paper and you get the personality of the color of the film, because Neil was, and I didn't know who Neil was at that time. But I got the proof sheets back and I brought them back to my little studio, and I was just really, really blown away. I kind of just decided that was it. Film was going to be my editorial vibe from then on. I didn't want to shoot anything digitally. I mean, I told magazine editors that I'll shoot tests so they can see the light and they can see the vibe, but I don't want to shoot it digitally anymore. That was kind of moving into this whole new era of inspiration and kind of realizing what film photography and what photography could be to me. This is a shoot that was a big deal to me, because Lily Collins was the first one I shot on film, but this is or is close to the first one that I worked really closely with on Neil for Seaprints. And this is an actress named Hadley Robinson. When I dropped the contact sheets off to Neil, I remember taking the contact sheets out at Icon and going in the front room and looking at them, and this image stuck out to me, and to this day it's absolutely one of my favorite ones I've ever taken. I just remember being like, that's the one, that's a picture that I've always wanted to be able to take. This was a magical shoot for me because it really displayed the strengths of printing. It's just such a pleasure to watch you work. For my film shoots, this isn't the exact way you should do it. Usually you should do a light test with a light meter.
Johnny way.
But I like to test with a digital camera first. That way I can see the light, I can feel the vibe. I always shoot my digital photos in monochrome because I see light and tone better in that way, so that I can kind of feel what the final image is going to look like on film. So once I get the exposure that I think I want, it'll be 400 at 3.5. So then we'll set our film camera to 400 at 3.5, remove our dark slide, and then we're ready. Look down at the floor for me, Vivi. There, and then back here. Beautiful. Wait. Oh! Have we been hitting the gym? What is this? What is this? Chin down.
Out of my comfort zone.
Exactly. It's taken a lot of practice to get into the flow that I'm in now, which is not to say that is the best way to do things, but it's how I do them. I'll choose people that really fit the vibe of the shoot that I want to convey. Whether the hair feels on the mood board feels glamorous and the makeup is very heavy, or if we want it brushed out, I'll choose stylists that I think fit this very well. So it's a lot of micromanaging of talent and making very clear that the mood board is solid and that you really know what you're doing. So choosing the talent that'll be on set, making sure that you know the light you're going for, you know the location, you know the light in the location, you know how the light travels through the location, because planning your looks following the sun is very important to me. But there's only so much planning you can do beforehand. When I get to set, I want to really pay attention to what's actually there, because as I said before, you'll never have the right pull of the fashion. You'll never have this. Maybe the team member got sick and you had somebody else show up. And then you get there and it's cloudy and raining, like it literally just happened to me a week ago, where I had this huge spring story planned for Harper's Bazaar and it was raining in Topanga. I just had to pay attention to what was on set. So plan, and then be able to be very malleable on set and play jazz and really pay attention to what's in front of your camera, because then you can still make magic if you're not trying to fit it back into the box that you were planning a week ago. Directing talent is so important to me. It was born out of directing actors because I know that they're not models, and I know that actors feel very uncomfortable in front of a camera. Not all of them. Some of them know exactly what to do and they're seasoned and they know, and it just works. But a lot of them really appreciate the direction. So I noticed I would get better photos when I would tell them what I want, or keep the conversation flowing from the moment that, not in an incessant way, but keep the energy flowing and keep the conversation light. The second they stepped into the studio, that's when the photo shoot begins in my eyes. When talent steps into your studio, you're creating a trust and a vibe and an energy from that moment. If you can create this flow where people almost don't even know when the photos are being taken and when they're not, then you get a lot more relaxed energy. And then I can kind of I tell them to move their shoulder here and I tell them to look over there. And then it ends up being a lot more conversational, but you're still getting their body position, you're still getting what you need, but it's not we're shooting now. Look at the things that don't make me happy and aren't fun for me, and then just shake it up and really don't be afraid to fail, because you will. It's going to look bad. It's gonna be weird and it's gonna be uncomfortable. I used to be very stuck to shooting a digital camera tethered to Capture One, and it was a little crutch. You always go back around and look at the monitor, make sure your lighting is perfect. And a big shake it up moment for me was when I just cut the tether, shot to card, and just again stayed in the moment and stayed with my talent and kind of, if the light doesn't work, then whatever. The story's more important. Don't not take pictures and not work because you're afraid of it looking bad.